The views expressed in the following podcast have been classified as intolerant to certain forms of wildlife, including grizzly bears, toucans, and certain subspecies of colossal squid. They do not reflect the views of our employers, spouses, friends, or family, or anyone from any animal rights advocacy group. Who knew that grizzlies could be so offended by alcohol? To be fair, we never offered to share with them. Your mileage may vary.
What the hell is going on?
Oh, hi Mike. Why are you late?
What? Why am I? What? Do you not hear the war zone outside?
You have very low chance of getting shot in Canada, you know.
What? How? Why is there a gunfight going on outside?
Well, haven't you heard? The government banned knives. Now the gang and drug rings don't have access to knives anymore. They switch to alternatives.
Okay. First of all, why would they voluntarily turn in their knives? And secondly, why don't we just ban guns?
Sounds like they just did.
What was that?
Hang on, Googling. Yeah, gun ban went into effect. What you just heard was the next alternative, Molotov cocktails.
Is that your front window?
It's not the first time I've had to replace it.
Tim, someone's running off with your batleth.
What? You little patak! Get back here, you honorless dog, or I'll...
Holy shit, where'd you get a grenade launcher?
What? Oh, this one? Oh, easy. They banned Molotov cocktails.
Welcome to And Change. I am drinking some sort of whiskey.
Who are you?
Soda.
Who are you?
Who am I? This is the mysterious man behind the mask named Josh.
Can I compliment you on your MAGA hat? It's fantastic. I think it looks really great on you. Very, very smashing.
Let me
It's so pretty.
Let me double check here. What hat am I wearing? I'm wearing a Winnipeg's Jets hat.
This show got very Canadian very fast.
You might have been drunk enough for me to actually sell you on the idea that you were actually wearing a MAGA hat, which would have made me very happy.
I would not ever be wearing a MAGA hat.
But they're made by Nike.
Yeah, so just do it.
Burn
Just
it.
do it.
Burn it.
So just do it.
Burn
Just
it.
burn it.
And see, that's Schrodinger's hat right there. Like you're pissing. Who are you mad at that point? If you
This
burn
is
that
more.
hat?
This is more of a Schrodinger's douchebag situation.
Fair enough. Yep.
So what kind of whiskey was this, anyways? I don't
Stock
know.
and barrel.
Stock and
Red label.
Yeah, there we go.
I tried some of it earlier as well. It was really smooth. Very, very
Absolutely.
smooth
Yeah,
that's
stuff.
good.
And yet you mixed it with whatever you mixed it with. Club soda.
Club soda.
And
It's a
yeah.
thing.
This is Mike, back from the dead, apparently. I listened to the last two episodes.
Mountain Dew.
You mixed my scotch with Mountain Dew. I'm going to end your life.
Okay, Mike, calm down. It was Mountain Dew. It was
Code
Fresca.
It's code
There
red.
are.
Code Red.
I just want you to know
Mr.
there are
Pibb.
no kittens left on the planet. God killed all of them because of what you've done.
Pib Extra.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Everything is wrong, but I am drinking tonight. I'm actually trying. So I got tired of listening to the episodes and hearing that I was basically drinking one of three whiskeys every single time. Tonight I am drinking a blended Scotch whiskey. It's called the
Chivas Regal.
Chivas Regal. The Chivas Regal whiskey. It's a blended, 12 years, and it's not bad. I mean, I'm not going to put it on par with Mountain 12 or some of the others that I've enjoyed, but
It's a different animal.
it is.
This would be more comparable to say like the Johnny Walker
Yes.
Black Label I have.
Yes, and it's very drinkable.
Very drinkable.
I
On
have
the
not
mediocre
mixed
scale,
this-
it's drinkable.
It is drinkable, and I mean that in a good way. It is a genuine compliment. This is not terrible stuff.
And of course, this is Tim. I am drinking the same thing, the Chivas Regal, mixed with club soda because I'm trying to stay hydrated. And put on the mediocre scale. I mean, if I go blended, I typically go Johnny Walker because there's just that certain flavor that I like. However, this is just very nice, easy drinking. I'm gonna give it 3 red balloons and a gold horseshoe.
Lovely.
No puppy
Yep.
stickers?
No puppy stickers. It's
Speaking
not
of
that high.
lovely, we have a guest here this evening as well.
Hi.
Hi, I'm Laura, and I'm drinking a Dab Dark because dark German beer is the business. So
That's
good.
right.
So good.
Dab.
Yeah, I heard this on the last episode that I wasn't here for. Apparently, everyone was drinking some kind of premium German beer.
That's
which
right.
I sincerely hope you all enjoyed it.
We actually, Handsome Steve seemed to really like it. Josh liked the Polliner. I don't think he was a big fan of the Hofbrau, but
One of them was really gross. One of them was like one of the best beers I've had.
It was
the Polliner you really liked.
Yeah, the Hofbrau I remember you did not care for.
well, okay. So speaking of things we don't care for, Gun bans.
Gun bans.
Actually, it's not that I don't care for 'em.
Handgun bans.
Well, I'm in favor of a total gun ban. I'll start that as my position, but let's...
I'm going to be the only person on the right here, aren't I?
No, because I think Tim lives in a fantasy world and thinking all guns are bad.
I love you, Laura.
No,
wonderful.
like it's because we are Canadian, but we live in like
North America?
no, we live in a metropolitan
pineapple under the sea.
area.
Yep.
No, we live in the city. We don't get like the worst things that we get are fucking coyotes, right?
Fair enough.
You don't live like in like your sister.
To be
who
fair, if you see a coyote in your
be
backyard,
fair.
it would be really useful to have
fair.
a rifle or something.
Not necessarily. You could probably
Or
make
just
noise.
lock the fucking door and call animal control. That's reasonable
Okay,
to live in a
so
city.
your sister who lives in Sudbury, Ontario, had a fucking bear in the tree in her backyard. Like a bear.
Yeah, and the situation somehow resolved without the bear being shot.
Okay.
Go figure.
However,
Fair enough.
I have an aunt who lives in Houston, BC. Yes, Houston, BC, not Houston, Texas.
They
It's a
have-
real place.
Yes.
Hey,
and
we in London,
and their
Ontario.
logo for their city is a fly rod. I want to go there.
Yeah.
Hey, we in London, Ontario will not stand for cities pretending to be other
You
cities.
didn't know that? I knew Houston, DC. Did you?
I did not know
Your
that.
face was like, how the...
I am
know that.
very impressed by you right now. So it was she basically had a
was
situation where she was in the kitchen and suddenly she hears some scratching at the back door and it's a black bear at her back door scratching to get in the house. She puts the kids into the basement and then she gets the rifle out and she basically waits for the bear to turn its back and start wandering away. She opens the door, blasts the thing, kills it, and now here's where things get really interesting. She then butchers the thing and they had bear meat.
That
Apparently,
sounds
like
delicious.
butchered bears, again, according to your sister, look like people.
Huh.
All I've seen
Are we
was
sure it was a bear?
exactly.
It's your sister. It's
It
her
is-
story.
I know. That's why I'm asking
It is.
if I'm sure
it
it's
is-
a bear.
It is Sudbury.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't know.
Okay.
It's a
So
50-50
here's the
shot.
thing. I'm actually okay. So
They
I'm
were
not
like,
a total.
pew, pew, bullet, well, it's gun, bang, bang. That's kind of how
Closest
they
I've,
are.
ever
I'm
come, closest I've ever come was seeing those bears that you see pictures of on Google where they've shaved all the fur off and they look like some incredibly demonic creature from some
Okay, so
horror film.
here's the thing. I'm not actually in favor of a total gun ban. I think that's absolutely a ridiculous position.
Okay.
I'm in favor of a highly regulated system. I would love the Japanese system of gun ownership.
Explain to us all the Japanese system, Tim.
Well, clearly I'm an expert in all things Japanese. If you look at my complexion, I'm clearly, not.
I thought you were about to say if you look at my porn
I learned
history.
about
Look at
the
my
gun.
porn.
Your-
I learned
your
about
porn
the
history.
Japanese gun like procedure through a book I read about this, fake detective that was from San Francisco but was obsessed with Japan.
It's ridiculously intense.
It
Well,
is crazy.
basically, there's health checks, there's psychological checks,
Yep.
there's police checks. The police have to come to your home for an inspection where you're going to be storing the gun.
All right.
Also, you have to agree to random checks to make sure the gun is secure.
Sure.
So you have if a condition of owning a gun, and by the way, this is not a handgun. You get a shotgun or basically something that's about as powerful as a potato gun. Those are the two things you're allowed to own.
No rifles?
No, right? No, I think you can own like a 22, and that's about it.
Yeah. Okay.
And then from there, basically, you have to agree to random inspections that they have to be able to pop by your house and certify, yep, gun's where it's supposed to be. And surprise, surprise, I think in a country of 110 million, they have like 2 deaths a year from gun violence.
Not bad.
Not bad at all.
Because when they kill themselves, they hang themselves. It's a part of their culture.
Yeah, well,
There's something about a forest.
I'm sorry. I feel like this is going to sound horribly racist, but you're dealing with a culture
so
that
it
has
is
got.
racist.
I'm not racist, but
I know, right? I feel terrible saying this. I do. I feel so awful.
I have a Japanese friend.
But look.
I have many Japanese
I
friends.
have a half
Look,
Japanese friend.
You know what?
I got a Japanese
Fine.
fetish.
I will go out and say it then. I have a problem with Japanese culture. I really do. This is a culture that has got 4 different words for suicide in its language. Like we're talking about. I'm
Also
not,
highly sexist. Just throwing that in.
Okay,
what?
Japanese culture is highly sexist.
apparently.
Yes, it is.
Not apparently.
I was
Not
more
apparently.
more concerned about the whole 4 different words for suicide thing, but the sexist
Well,
thing is
hold on a
also
sec.
important.
That's no. Come on. I mean, suicide, killing yourself, offing yourself. So there's 3 right there.
No. I'm talking about all 4 different distinct definitions, all of which are
Erotic
cloaked in glory,
asphyxiation.
by
Oh,
the
yeah.
way.
So sort of like how the Ferengi have 22 words for rain.
As long as you have
Sure.
lemons, it's okay.
Yeah, but like all 4 of these words that they have for suicide are cloaked in glory, as if it's like this is a culture that's got some kind of love affair with death. I'm not
That's where
impressed.
the whole like falling on your sword term comes from.
Sure, exactly. Yeah.
So Japanese culture is fascinating to me, and I actually think it's fantastic in many ways.
I think their pop music is interesting.
Nope.
You should see his body pillow.
Something
Is it
about
a
a
giant
squid
Pikachu?
going in places where it's
It has.
not
It's like
necessarily
any
supposed to go.
culture. It has
And a cow.
It like any culture. It has its problems. It has its strengths and weaknesses. But to say it's overly sexist from one culture to another, I think is a little unbiased. Because I mean, if you look at American culture,
They literally like decided that they were only going to let in 20% female students in one of their medical schools. Like to this day,
And they
No,
probably
and
are
then-
sitting
no,
there
no,
going,
and-
they're probably sitting there going, look how inclusive we are. 20%, we've
no,
decided.
and to this day, like female workers, like say in an
Yeah.
office, they have to serve their male counterparts tea regardless of what position they have.
Regardless how we feel about Japanese culture,
Yeah, how did we get that there?
I was talking
apparently
about
it's
their gun.
1943.
It was your fault.
Anyways,
I was talking about their whole how they handle the gun
Yeah.
issue,
Yeah,
et cetera, et cetera. Apparently, their cops are bored enough that they have to invent shit to do. I mean,
I like
that's
to
how
say
bored
that I
they are.
haven't
But
said my
fair enough.
statement on where I stand.
all
on
right,
gun
fine,
here.
go ahead.
And go. The socialist is speaking.
Fine, you can call me.
I'm the
socialist,
one
it's
who
fine.
wants the most restrictive one at the table. You can
Yeah,
call
I
me
think
the
he's
socialist
probably
on
the
this one.
most restrictive on the table.
What?
I think handguns. I think it's a complex issue and deserves a complex answer.
Holy shit.
Because
Whoa, a
it's
nuanced argument. A
nuanced
from
thing.
Josh.
What?
It's not. It's a very difficult thing, right? Because in a rural area, they have a wholly different functionality with gun. I grew up around guns, so have a whole different functionality and culture around guns. Whereas around in the cities,
Pest
you have
control.
a different functionality, and it's not just pest control. There's people do it for fun.
Sure.
So
I've gone
there's-
skeet shooting. I
Yeah.
live in a quasi rural area.
Like,
Skeet shooting.
I know. I know.
skeet, skeet, skeet.
Skeet.
But the reality is-
different
From
thing.
the window to the wall.
No.
And copyright.
But the reality is in Canada, we do have
skeet,
gun deaths,
motherfucker.
but it's significantly lower than in the States. But the thing
I
is,
feel like
can't-
that's
so
a
here's the-
cultural thing, not a legislative thing.
here's the thing.
Yes.
There are some main issues that I'm concerned with. One, we got rid of the long gun registry, which was bloated and expensive and shouldn't have been.
Hugely expensive.
But that was due to mismanagement. It wasn't due to the.
So it was due to government involvement, mismanagement. Those two are equated terms in my book.
Okay, well, they're not. One does not always
Taylor, how you
necessarily
doing?
equal the other. But the issue is that now we don't have a tracking of where these guns are coming from.
So what?
And we actually can't tell where these guns. Well, if you're law enforcement, you sure as hell care. Because how do you?
Yeah.
Yeah, you do. If you want to control violent crime and gang related activities, sure as hell. wanna
Okay,
know
but-
So
where
hang on.
guns are coming
Gangs
from.
in Toronto are lining up with 22 shotguns?
No, they're not. They're lining up with
Handguns, which there was never, it was a
I don't
long
think
gun
anyone.
registry.
I don't think anyone in Canada is. Well, here's the thing: the long gun registry, according to the RCMP, when it was banned, was an actually useful tool for them because when they're pulling up at someone's house, it's probably useful to know if there's a weapon in the house.
It helped with
You have
domestic
no
charges.
inherent rights to a gun in this country. This is not the U.S.
Yeah.
there is no inherent right to own one.
Well, there should
To-
be.
Why? I'm saying
Why?
it's no different than owning a car.
I don't have a
I
right-
have to register my car. I should have. Why can't I register my gun? What is
So
the
about
difference?
that, I've actually said before on this show that I'm a libertarian, which makes me think that I would feel like most people confuse that with anarchism, which is not the same thing. I do believe that there should be licenses to own guns in this country, much like there's a license to operate a vehicle. I don't think the government should administer any more than they absolutely have to, but I feel like part of that regulation should be something like how many hours are you spending with this thing so that we know that you know what to do with the rotten thing. Instead of,
Yeah.
I got the license once 5 years ago and I paid this fee to
see,
renew it every year, and here we are.
So here's you said something there that really actually drives me
actually agree
crazy
with you.
about the gun debate. It's this myth of training, that the average citizen can somehow train for protection or anything like that. It's a complete myth. You can't train for every possible scenario
No, you
within
can't.
your house because you don't know the outside parameters. You don't know the internal parameters. You're
more likely to get shot if you pull out.
You're
a
more
gun in
likely
those
to get shot. You're
situations.
more likely if you do
Not
shoot,
by the bad
to
guys
shoot your
either.
family or yourself, right? So I don't really like this protection.
Everyone thinks they're
stuff.
going to become John McClane from Die Hard as soon as the bad guy comes out.
But I don't
I'm
believe-
talking to like that just means that there's an error in the training. I feel like if you have a properly trained person who knows not only how to use a gun but also when to, you would then have like a fully fledged training operation and also the ability to you have demonstrated to renew your license every year. You've got demonstrated logged hours, much like a pilot of an aircraft would, because you're dealing with something that has the capacity to kill someone if needed. Of course, you need to have some.
This is where I differ. The thing is that I think that absolutely there should be 100% training. I just think there should be no reason a civilian should own a weapon that's designed for military or law enforcement use, which includes a handgun, unless you are a registered sports shooter, in which case it stays locked up at the range. That's it. Period.
Yeah,
if you are a sportsman, if you are a hunter, if you live up in areas where it makes sense to own a rifle, fine, own a fucking rifle, because no one's concerned about a drive-by with a goddamn deer rifle. That's not the problem.
No, it
but
could
there's
happen,
really, but there's really, like, I don't think there should be any semi-automatic weapons. I think everything should be single-shot action, and frankly, everything should. That's it. I think I would leave it to individual municipalities, frankly. If they say no guns in city borders, that's absolutely fine with me if the local representatives want to do that.
It's a gun-free zone. Gun-free zone. Just like all the gun-free zones in the States, which is where most of the school shootings happen, in gun-free zones.
You can't compare our situation to the U.S.
They're
fair. Fucking nuts. Like, Chicago is, everyone points to Chicago. The problem is, everywhere around Chicago, you can go to the 7-Eleven and get a gun with your Slurpee. That's the problem with that area.
Fuck off. I like guns.
Yeah. Jim Jeffries, he has a great routine about this.
Yeah.
Just admit it. Fuck off. I like guns.
I like guns. I don't have a problem with
Okay, I have to admit
I've
shot a rifle before.
Yeah.
And it was me.
No, it was not you.
Anyway, we do have to come to our break. Laura will grab
What,
your story
already?
when we come back. We'll grab a refill and we will be back. In a monotone voice, thank you for listening. I hope you're enjoying the show.
In agreement, that sounds scripted. Mike, did you script this gesture to make?
You guys aren't supposed to read the stage directions.
With a concerned tone, I don't understand.
Check out toandchange.ca so you can read the blog and see what I have to put up with. Guys.
Oh, I lost my place in the script.
Welcome back to Two and Change. So before we were leaving, Laura was about to tell us her rifle story.
Please,
so
rifle.
please.
Riffle.
I didn't like. It's not a big
rifle story.
It was during my time in Katimavik, and I was in
Which was a Canadian after.
Yeah. So what that was is that it was an exchange program for youths between the ages of 17 and 21, and you would go to three different places within Canada. And
So this was like 2 years ago.
Yeah, it's a really cool program.
That's so nice, Mike.
Yeah,
but no,
it's
this
a
was
really cool program that the Harper government cut, but then
Yeah.
the Trudeau government brought back. It's actually
yes,
cool.
because
right.
Trudeau was I
He's
remember.
so handsome.
Yeah,
He is.
fuck yeah, he
Trudeau.
is.
We have a
And-
Disney
Great hair,
prince.
though.
Oh man.
He's just
Something-
not ready.
He
Anyways,
is a Disney prince, though. Damn.
I'd fuck him. I don't care.
Me too.
He can plank. Come on. I mean, he's a 40-year-old someone who can plank. So
Anyways, so I was billeting with one of these families, or billeting with a family when I was in Gimli, Manitoba, and this gentleman and his wife, they had this like this house way outside of town, and it had like a ridiculous amount of acres. And this guy's like, yeah, like, we shoot rifles, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, well, I'd like to try it. So I did. And basically all I did was take a rifle and I shot at a piece of paper. And that is it. It's
Well-
like, mwah, mwah, not a very nice story.
did you hit the piece of paper?
Yes, of course I did.
Oh, zing! There.
That's half the battle.
That is half the battle. I remember that from going skeet shooting because I was warned.
Skeet, motherfucker!
Skeet. No, with a shotgun. It was it was a 12 gauge shotgun, and I remember that I did some. This is like the first time I'm holding a shotgun, at least legally, the first time I'm holding a shotgun. So the first thing I'm worried about is not being knocked over because I was told that the kickback can actually knock you over with apparently that's more like an 8 gauge.
If you're a smaller guy.
Exactly. So basically, my first shot with this thing was to try to not fall over. I did not not fall over. I now had an idea of how much the recoil was, and out of the next 10 shots, I smoked the thing 9 times.
Good for you. Skeet shooting is hard.
It is hard. And apparently it is. And I was just like, I'm really good at this.
That's not a humble brag at all.
It is not. It's not a humble brag.
So
it's just
as long
totally
as
proud
you're-
brag. I'm like,
So
shit,
as long
I rock
as you're
that.
an orange ceramic frisbee, Mike will fuck you up.
These things were brown. Was that wrong?
That's usually orange.
Those
No.
are cow patties that they were not.
No. These things were.
They told him it was a 12 gauge shock, and it was like
It's
super
like
soaker.
a not so efficient way to like
28.
fertilize some fucking
They were clay. They were simple clay things.
I've never seen them brown. I usually like.
I mean,
And how
I
often
am
do you skeet shoot,
colorblind. To be
Honey?
fair,
They are a lot.
How
of
many-
Different, they are a different lot. Of
I guess,
colors.
yeah.
Blue,
Yeah.
yellow.
How many
orange,
times have you been
brown.
skeet shooting, honey?
Absolutely zero, but I never make a claim to like, oh, they should be orange.
I feel
saying
like
I've
this
seen
is
a
a
lot of
2 and
skeet
change outing. 2 and change outing. Let's go skeet shooting and see who.
Skeet, motherfucker!
Skeet.
I can guarantee you it will be better than everyone on the table.
Yep.
You're on. You are freaking on.
Don't take that.
Can I be drunk while I do it? Then I'm on.
No.
Oh, I'm out.
Yeah.
Gun safety. is important.
Shotguns with live ammo plus alcohol. No, this is a bad idea, Tim.
We call that an Alabama wedding.
You are you going to tell me that you can do 9 out of 10
I
skeet
can do
shooting?
10 out of 10. I can do 20 out of 20.
Oh, I think we have to figure out how we're gonna
Wait,
raise.
I
this.
believe Josh.
Do you want to do
Just-
left and
believe
right,
Josh.
forward and back? Do you want to do it? You want to go far out? Do you want to do?
Do you want to do it with an
30s, 40s,
M60?
100s?
I was doing 2 at a time.
Do you want to do
I
it with
can
your
throw three- I
hands
can
tied
throw,
above
like-
your head?
now it's
or-
been a while.
Whoa,
but
Mike,
I
like
can throw-
2 shotguns like Rambo?
No, I'm talking like
No, he's got to hold the rifle
two
sideways.
shells.
Like
There's 2
Okay.
shells and they fly up this way diagonally against each other.
Yeah.
And you basically blast one and then the other.
Oh,
It's
you
been
guys were only doing 1 or 2 at a
yeah,
time.
it's-
Sorry, I was doing like 500.
It's been a
Oh, shit,
while.
Pop.
It's been a while, but I can throw 3 in the air and shoot them before they hit the ground.
3.
Yeah, but
have to-
like hand throw.
You have to like
Hand throw,
reload.
not machine throw.
You
Not
have to
with the trap.
reload the damn thing.
no, not with a pump
Yeah.
or an automatic. You can use either. It's a little easier with an automatic, but I can.
Wait,
use
are
a
you still
pump.
talking
Although
about
maybe
a-
not anymore. I'd have to.
Is
use
he
an
talking
automatic.
about a
just saying,
shotgun
I
or
was
some
working
sort
with
of marital aid?
I was working with a pump.
if it's a marital
Probably
aid,
do
then I'm kind of
three- throw
intrigued.
three
Not
for
gonna
the
lie.
Same here.
Throw 3 with a pump?
Maybe
And
not
blast
anymore.
over?
That might be hard.
Isn't this
with a five.
conversation
Not
much
automatic
more
for
interesting
sure.
if you're talking about a marital aid, not a shotgun?
None of this has
We do
anything
live
to
around the
do-
corner from a sex shop, just saying.
Yep.
I noticed that. That sex shop used to be my favorite sword
Oh
shop.
no, it's stuck.
It's down there.
The sword stop is still there. It
What?
was
Down there.
never there. Like Reliks is still
Reliks
there.
just moved down the street, dude.
What?
Yeah.
Where?
Just a block this way.
What?
Wait, hold on. I thought the sex shop was a Starbucks.
No, negative. It was a.
Oh, wrong. That was
Wrong
wild.
episode. No.
Relics is still there?
So, okay. So, we're banning guns.
We're banning handgun, not guns, handguns.
handguns.
Okay, so where are we banning handguns? Because if it's all in Canada, that's ridiculous. If it's like in the major cities like Toronto,
Hold on a sec.
Vancouver,
How
I'm
can you?
behind that.
But hold on a sec. How can you enforce an urban only handgun ban? How can you actually enforce that when all you
Why
have to
do
do is
people
drive
By
30
making it a
minutes?
municipal right instead
Why
of a
do people
federal
need
one.
handguns? Like,
I don't think people need them.
handguns.
Period.
I don't think
agree.
that the argument is not about who needs
you're
a
a sports
handgun
shooter,
because
fine,
the
but-
fact of the matter is that people are going to have them. So
That's an
Fuck off, I like
argument
guns.
against laws, not an argument. That's an argument against the concept of laws. Well, only people still get them. Blah blah blah. People still rape. People still rob.
what
Yet we have
exactly-
laws against that shit.
But hold on, what exactly is your problem with handguns?
because
Because
they're
there's
only
no-
designed to kill people.
And is that only
You know
what
what
they're
my
used
problem
for?
is?
there
People
only what
hold
they're-
them this way.
Is that
This is
Design-
no. So my problem is that the only thing a handgun is designed for is
to kill people?
Well, sports shooting aside,
Fine.
okay, fine. We can make
Wait,
if
hold
you're a
on.
licensed
But you were
sports
saying
shooter.
that my problem is that
We're
it's an
sports
argument against
shooting
law,
people
right?
now?
This issue with
Right?
people
That's
using them to
fucked
shoot.
up.
What are handguns
Absolutely.
used for outside of sport?
Now, I would
Killing
like to know
people.
what
Isn't that
sport.
already illegal, Tim? That's an argument against law. Isn't that what you just said?
But why make the tools more convenient?
What sport
Mike?
uses handguns?
competition
Hand-
shooting.
Yeah, there's
competition,
shooting. There's
yeah,
shooting
it's a
competitions.
thing.
There's all
Yeah,
kinds.
I've never competed in one, but I actually kind of would like to. It would be
a lot of
neat
fun.
to try. Yeah, I would like to. Love to
Okay,
try.
fair enough. I just,
One would
ignorant about
argue that
guns.
our restrictive access to handguns, regardless of having the world's largest illegal market of guns
Right.
south of our border, is actually working quite well. So one would argue that maybe we should fine tune a little bit here.
I thought your approach to having them limited to ranges was kind of neat because
Yeah.
You
Lock
don't
him
need a
up
gun.
in a
At,
registered
you don't
range.
need a handgun at home because
I need a handgun at home.
It's a
No, you
myth.
don't.
I need a handgun. If there's
Why?
a guy on bath salts trying to rip through my front door and kill my family,
In Strathroy, Ontario.
Okay.
Yes!
No. Hold on. This is okay.
Jesus.
Are you serious though? Because I want to break this down for a sec.
please.
Okay. So there's this myth of
Right now, I
self-defense.
have no option but to use my batleth on the guy, and that's a much uglier scenario.
No, that's a much more awesome scenario.
It is awesome, but it also means the guy takes 3 days to die. I don't want to do that to the guy.
Could you imagine
You didn't pay
explaining-
for the you didn't
Could
pay
you
for the
imagine
tempered
explaining
seal,
that
did
to
you?
the cop? What happens? Well, I grabbed this big thing from Star Trek and killed him with it.
Well, no, he's gonna say Batleth at first, and this cop's like Batleth. Oh, like from Star Wars, and then Mike's gonna go, oh no. So
He's like,
you go to this
now,
whole thing.
now, officer, I have to kill you. I'm sorry. Yeah.
And now I have
And in court later, this is Exhibit A. It's called a batleth, and the
So-
judge is like, "The fuck."
So here's
Oh, from Battlestar Galactica, you're like, God damn.
So here's where I can get behind Tim's, at least on handguns, I can get behind Tim's locking them on the ranges because it makes sense. The only reason you need a handgun is for sports shooting, and that's fine. I don't want to get rid of sports shooting. I did it when I was
No.
younger, and
I
it's
need a
fine.
handgun for
So-
that guy on bath salts who's trying
so
to rip
here's-
through my front
Do you
door.
have a handgun
Here's
now?
the reality, right?
My wife won't let me
No
get
matter
one,
how
otherwise,
trained
yes.
you are, let's say somebody has built this completely unlikely scenario of somebody on bath salts breaking in your house, and if you are in a neighborhood where you're really concerned with that, you should probably move.
Probably
Thank
fucking
you.
move.
So
That's like shit that would happen in my sister's neighborhood.
So even if this is the case, even if you do live in a neighborhood where somebody on bath salts is breaking in your door, assuming they have a gun or can use it,
That's not a question. I don't care if they have a gun or not.
Okay.
My question is, do I have one?
so here's the reality. You're waking up in the middle of the night. You have
Yes.
no idea of the potential situation. You have no idea where your kids may or may not be.
Right.
They may very well likely be in bed. They may not. They may have got up to go get a drink. You don't know this or not. You don't know you don't know if there's someone else outside. You don't know if there's someone who's breaking in the back door, the front door, the side door, the window. You don't know the parameters. There's a reason when people go into these situations from police, they have trained, they analyze the situation before they go in. They don't
And
just
even
go guns
they
a-blazing.
fuck up, too.
And even they shoot each other. So you can't, this idea that you can wake up out of bed, pop up, somehow manage to, I've woken up in a bed and can't even say my fucking name, so much less waking out of bed and getting your gun. And somehow
Sometimes he's
Yeah,
woken
the
out of
whole-
bed and forgets my name, Josh.
I know.
So here's the thing.
Timothy-ish.
Here's the thing. I'm not the guy who wakes up. Here, I can actually walk you through this.
If you suck
This
the emotion
has-
out of the argument.
This has happened in my house. Not that someone has actually literally tried to break. I have
bath
been.
salts?
I have been kicked awake at night by my wife before, and my wife has said somebody is downstairs. And I had nothing except, I'm not kidding, a piece of my sword collection. And without thinking, I got out of bed, walked across, picked up a piece of my sword collection,
Okay.
went downstairs.
Pause for a second.
Yes.
Okay, so you picked up your piece of sword. If you have a gun, you have 6 children.
Yeah.
How are you storing that gun? In a safe, yeah?
Safely.
Yeah.
Sure.
In a safe.
So
you have to have
and everything stored
so
separately.
you have to think like you're gonna have to like your adrenaline's pumping. You're gonna have to put a code into that safe
See,
and
that's
then
just
still
it.
get it out and then load it.
See, that's just it. And maybe this is just because I'm a weird person. My adrenaline wasn't pumping when I encountered that situation. When my wife kicked me out of bed and said, "There's someone downstairs."
And who was downstairs?
Oh,
Nobody.
no, it probably was. Just because
What
you're
if it was,
calm doesn't mean your adrenaline wasn't pumping through the roof. Just
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, but my point is, I was calm.
I would make he'd be a subject matter expert.
My point is, I was calm. I was in a position where I had to sweep the house, make sure
But
nobody's in
you're
it.
not. But regardless of what you think you are capable of doing, unless you are like a trained law enforcement officer or something
And
like
that's
that.
exactly my point. I think licensing requirements to own a handgun should be at the same level as LEOs.
Okay, if we make the same as LEOs, but then we need to make it as then we need to make sure those standards are good. In fact, there should be a
Right.
physical training standard.
That's exactly
okay. If
what
you're gonna
I'm
make the same
saying.
as LEO, fine.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
But then the other thing
But then
is,
what-
how do you train your children to react?
and
in
how
a
do
gun
you
situation?
pay for
train
that
bystanders?
shit? Mr. Government should own the administrator.
This is the cost for you to own a handgun. Your licensing requirements include your cost at your dime to train for it.
Okay, so we're fine. It doesn't. Whether it's government
Just
or
fucking
private
get rid of
sector.
them.
Yeah,
So-
government, private sector doesn't matter. Like again, I'm a
The gov-
libertarian,
but
but I'm
who's
not an
going to pay to
anarchist.
check on this?
That's
There's going to be an entire administration there to check on
Yeah,
this
so
shit.
say it's self-regulating. Yeah, the problem with the self-regulating is there's incentive for them
I
to
don't-
be less regulating to sell more guns. But
I don't trust my meat to be
besides the
regulated.
government versus libertarian. The whole point is whether or not somebody should be owning a handgun in their house, and I really don't think they should for the most part.
Suck the emotion out of the argument. You are much more likely to shoot your children than you are to shoot an
Statistically
intruder.
speaking.
statistically speaking, yes, and I think
And how
that
would you
is-
feel about that?
Well, here's what I think about that. I think
Or
that
them
is a
shooting
reflection
themselves.
not of the perils of gun ownership, but a peril of the training behind gun ownership. The fact that you can go in America,
There is no
the fact
level
that in
of
America,
training.
Exactly my problem. I feel like if you're in America, if you can go to Walmart and pick up a
Mike,
gun,
that's not my point. My point is that the training's inadequate.
Right.
What I'm saying is that even there is no training that exists that where a law enforcement officer is going to be woken from a dead sleep to deal with an intruder in a house. That doesn't exist.
That situation ends badly no matter what
It
the
doesn't
context.
matter.
Whether it's
It
a
does.
house or whether it's military, whether it's police, if you are in that split-second decision, the odds of you making a successful shot on your target
Hold
are
on a
super
second.
low. The odds of you making a successful shot on your target in a situation that you have some idea of what you're going into is below 30%. What do you think it's at when you wake up out of your bed?
okay, so
and you don't do this full time.
hold on a second. I can actually even concede to you that there is no win scenario here. Like, suppose for a moment that I wake up in bed,
Kobayashi Maru, man.
I'm completely calm. I grab my handgun, I load it from the ammunition in the separate safe, and I go downstairs. There is a legitimate intruder who is on bath salts and thinks that I'm a lizard person and is trying to kill my family, and I do successfully shoot and kill that guy in a single shot. That is still a lose situation.
Yeah, of course.
Because
but
I
that
don't
doesn't
want to
mean that-
kill somebody.
Then why do you have a gun in your house if you don't want to kill someone?
Because if somebody's
Why
in
do you
my
have
house,
a moral right to kill that person?
because he's in my house trying to kill my family.
How do you know he's trying to kill your family? Maybe he just wants your fucking TV.
Maybe he's just on
So
bath
if
salts
he's-
and thinks he's in Candyland.
like
Like,
something, right?
Ooh,
Yeah,
look
just-
at their pretty
And that's just it.
colors.
This is why I never stood
Or
stand
maybe
your
he's like
grandma.
really into like
you
your
just
kids'
shot
toys.
the guy who licked your wall thinking it was a candy cane, man.
Like, if the dude just wants your TV, why is the punishment
Again, hold on.
an execution, a summer execution?
Again, I'm talking
And
about.
why should the state
listen,
endorse
listen,
this?
This is my ideal scenario because I've been properly trained and because I have all these licenses and I've done all this continuing education and continue to put hours in and do all this training. The idea is that I am going to do exactly what an LEO would do. I'm going to first try to tell the guy to get out of my house, and if he doesn't, if in response
And what I'm
to
saying
my
is that there's no. You seem to think that there's some sort of level of training that would prepare you for the situation if you're not an
it's also-
actual law enforcement officer.
thing that
The
gets-
answer is there's no
The thing that gets me
level of
about
training.
this is we get trapped in our own heads, and all of our imaginary scenarios are very sterile. And the way these things happen, they're
Yeah.
not sterile. There's too many. There's multiple factors that happen. Things go out of control, and things escalate in ways that no one can ever predict. Right. So this is why this is a myth. Now the thing that gets me though is let's say we put them all in ranges. It's so much easier in cities and places like that to control handguns, and handguns are really with your gang-related activities, which is what Canada's concerned with.
Yeah.
to some extent.
Toronto,
longer-
Vancouver,
now-
particularly.
All right, so we're getting towards the end of the episode. I'm going to
We
ask
are?
one
Already?
quick question. Yeah, absolutely. One quick question of everybody here. Would you own a gun, handgun, shotgun, whatever? Why or why not? I'll start with Laura.
I'm gonna say no to all because they scare me, and handguns are just completely unnecessary in my opinion. Like, sure they're fun, but they're made to kill shit, especially people. So I'm out.
That's actually kind of deep. Mike?
I would own a shotgun. I would not own anything else. And I know that sounds surprising after what I've just been saying this entire episode, but I value my marriage.
Okay, so say if your wife wasn't around, would you own one?
So you're riding shotgun.
If my wife were not around, yes, I would own a handgun. I would own a handgun if my wife were not around. But because of my wife's legitimate concerns, in deference to what you said about, statistics and killing your own children, whatever, my wife is
Six
worried
kids
about
is
that.
a lot.
Yeah.
And you don't want
He
them
can
to
afford
die.
to lose
That's
one.
a lot of.
I'm not six. What's
the one with the one with the fucked up eye is probably not going to university. That's the one.
You are so lucky I don't actually have one with a fucked up eye, or I would be all over you right now. Yeah.
You don't know how many guns I have.
In my current situation, I would own a shotgun, probably because I really enjoyed skeet shooting that one time.
Skeet,
fair enough.
If I were not married and had no family, yeah, I would own a handgun.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. Okay, Josh.
But I would respect the damn thing. Josh, what's your...
I wouldn't own any, but that's not because I wouldn't own any. I wouldn't own any due to issues from my past, not violent reasons. But I wouldn't oppose to occasionally using them at a range because they are actually
They're pretty fun to fire.
they're pretty fucking fun to fire. So
Yeah.
I'm not.
Apparently in
I'm not
Vegas, you can fire a
necessarily
bazooka for a certain
I'm not
thing.
morally opposed to guns. I'm not morally opposed to hunting. I'm just more of a sane. The problem with this entire, it comes back to the problem with this entire discussion is that there's no middle ground. And I think I want to be in the middle ground. I'd say I wouldn't own them, but I'm not necessarily taking all the rights away from everyone. But I would definitely don't believe in handguns in the home.
And as for me, I wouldn't have one in my house, but I wouldn't be opposed to. I mean, come on, firing guns is fun. I mean, it's not gonna lie.
Fuck
It's sort
off.
of like,
I like guns.
yeah, like Jim Jeffries.
Exactly.
Fuck off.
I like guns.
They're fun. You know,
Yeah.
they are kind of fun. But
Well,
at the same
shoot, if
time-
we're talking only from the fun factor, can I have a tank? Like,
well, but that's
Yes.
Can I fire a tank? Go to
But
a
that's
range
the thing.
and like pay $1,500 to somebody and fire a tank.
a round costs more than that. But anyway, as we're coming to the end, of the show, sort of my final thing with this one is that my right to have fun with a gun does not supersede the trouble that comes with it. That's a certain level of fun because you got to cater to the lowest common denominator in society.
That means that then the only thing you can have is the actual tank at the range.
Yep.
I'm okay with that.
Which you can buy.
Because
That's the thing.
What?
You can buy a tank.
We'll
We'll talk about
Oh,
it.
that's
Okay.
lottery goals right there. To say.
There we go.
Beg your pardon?
Hashtag. Okay.
No gun. Tank? Okay.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Two and Change. Glad to have you back, Mike. Thanks, Laura, for sitting in. If you're listening to this episode and enjoying it, make sure you check us out at our website, twoandchange.ca. You can read our blog and leave us a comment. Make sure you download us at iTunes, Spotify, Podbean, wherever you get your podcasts.
I actually posted a blog post.
He posted a blog post. That's right.
Yeah. It
He was
like the first
explaining
one.
where he was.
Yeah, it was the first one since
I still
like
don't believe him.
July. Yeah, you shouldn't believe me. It's fine. Yeah, I wrote a blog post for where I've been for the last 2 weeks. I apologize for not being here, but it's great to be back.
It was butt stuff. You should read it. Anyway, for Two and Change, I'm Tim.
I'm Josh.
I'm Laura.
I'm Rambo.
See you next time. To the window. To the wall. To the
GT's forever,
sweat
man.
drip down my balls. To the sweat drip down my balls.
That's a lot of white boys singing songs that they shouldn't be.
I got damn.
You ever see the Chris Rock routine about guns?
No, I haven't.
Oh, he was like, he was this whole thing's like, guns should be legal, but bullets should cost like $15,000 each.
I just think, why don't we just stick insurance, the fire insurance?
They do not reflect the views of our employers, spouses, friends, or family, or anyone from any animal rights advocacy groups. Or anyone from any animal rights
You can do it, Tim. You can do it.
Advocacy.
Okay.
It's okay.
Or anyone from any animal rights advocacy group. Who knew that Gridley...
All right, so he's going to record this later.
No, one second. Beep. Who knew that grizzlies could be so offended by alcohol? To be fair, we never offered to share with them. Your mileage may vary.